close video for you today. Again, it's another different one, not tonic. It is showing you the Arteza 60 set of alcohol pens, and they're called their EverBlend markers, and they actually come in this marker case that actually holds 72 pens, so you have spare slots for extra pens you want to take with you, maybe favourite colours from different brands you have, or your white gel pen, or like your pencil or biro, whatever else you usually take with you. You can't buy the markers without the case, but you can buy the case without the markers. So I'm going to show you other types of pens that fit in the case, so if you just were interested in the case itself rather than the EverBlend markers, you can get the case itself. And I was looking at prices. So on the Arteza UK website, the full set is about £67. On the Arteza USA website, it's about $70, and on Amazon UK, it's about £70. So the cheapest place to get it is from the UK Arteza website, or USA Arteza website as well, depending where you live. Also, I'm now on the affiliate program for Arteza, so any of my links below for the Arteza website will be affiliate links, and if you purchase through those links, I will get a tiny commission and no extra cost to you because you bought through my link. But also, the lovely people at Arteza have given me a 10% off code to share with you as well, so if you order through my links below, you can also use the discount code CRaFTi1 to get 10% off your order, and CRaFTi is with an I, and I'm not 100% sure if the code is case sensitive, but I will make sure it's the first thing in the description box below so you can easily copy and paste it as the code. But I spell my CRaFTi Potential name with the elements of the periodic table, that's why they're all capital, lowercase, as well. So if you're a scientist, you should be able to spell it out of the elements. But if you're not, you can just copy and paste it so you know the capitalisation, just in case it is case sensitive. But that will give you an extra 10% off, and if the Arteza websites are already the cheapest place to get it, you're getting a really good bargain then. But as well as the 60 set of markers, they do also do a 120 set, which I think has a bigger variety of browns and greys, and obviously a few extra colours within the colour families as well. But that, they've just put it on the UK website. It wasn't on there when I checked like last week. So I think it's about £135 for the 120 set, and it comes in a case, like 120 case, so I think it's twice the length of this one. And that is also about $119 on the USA website, and it's about £130 on Amazon. Obviously the price might go down on the UK website because they've only just put it up there, and they often have offers on their website as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you that too. And also the cases, you can buy the cases separately on the Arteza USA website and also on Amazon, but they don't seem to have them on the Arteza UK website. But they this case is about $27 or $29.99, or the 120 marker case, which actually holds 144 markers. So say you had a big collection of Copics, you could put your Copics in here, and that is about $37 or $39.99 on the UK Amazon. So if you are just interested in the case, there's options to just buy the cases as well if you'd rather. But I'm actually really impressed with these pens. I mean, I love my Copics now because I've been using them for a long time, but I started off with Pro markers. I had tried, well, I did have for a while the Spectrum Noir ones, but I wasn't that impressed with them. Then I got more Pro markers, and then I got the tonic ones as well, which I use quite a lot too. And then obviously now I have this set as well. But obviously I got my Copics before this set. But yeah, now I've got this set too to play with. And also, if you're thinking, why would you want these when you already have Copics, which are like the best alcohol marker you can get because they have the brush end on them? these are fabulous for other techniques that you maybe wouldn't want to use your Copics for, because you might mess up the nib on them, or run out the ink quicker, and then you've got to spend like £6 or £7 on a refill for that colour. But with these, they're so affordable, you don't mind using the ink out of them to do other cool techniques. So I will show you that later on in the video as well. I really hope I remember to show you everything, because I have lots of things I want to show you. I think I've said everything I wanted to so far. But anyway, so this is how it comes to you. I've actually been using these for a couple of weeks because Arteza emailed me. If you've seen my previous up close video, it was looking at the real brush pens, and I kind of told the whole story in that. But they emailed me and said would I be interested in them sending me some of their products to use in my videos, and I was like, yes, of course, because if you watch that other video, I was really impressed with the real brush pens that I'd stolen off my mum, and yeah. But so one of the things they said they wanted to send me was the 60 set of the alcohol pens. So I was like, yeah, I love alcohol pens, you know, it'd be really nice to try some other ones out and everything. And the real brush pens were so vibrant when I used them. I was really excited to see how vibrant their alcohol markers are, and they did not disappoint. They are really beautiful, vibrant colours. So yeah, so it comes like this with the piece of card around it to tell you the information and everything. Obviously I've taken mine off because I've been using them. But the case actually holds 72, I think I just said that, but there's 60 markers inside it. The pens have a chisel tip and a fine tip, and it says they have replaceable tips. So, I mean, they haven't been out that long, so they probably haven't got the replaceable tips yet, because nobody should have ruined a tip on their marker yet. But if they're replaceable, you never know, they might bring out a brush tip for them eventually too. They also tell you all the different things you need to know about the what's in the set and everything as well, and they've got helpful tips and things on their website too, which you can go and have a look at. So that's just the piece card that comes on them. Then you have this gorgeous set. Oh, actually I haven't put this back on. Well, I've actually just been using them like this, out of this, on my desk, but they also come with a carry handle as well, which looks quite short, showing you like that, but this extends really big and you can actually wear it crossbody. When I got it, I tried it to see, because that's how I always usually wear my bags. But yeah, this easily just clips on to these two on here, and then you've got this padded shoulder strap, and you can make it really big so it does actually go like crossbody, or you can just have it on your shoulder as well if you want to, because this bag is great for travelling. And I mean, even if you didn't want to travel with these markers, say you wanted to take your Copics with you, or maybe even a mixture of different brands of markers as well, because every alcohol pen brand works well together because they're all made of alcohol ink, so you can mix them all together. But if you wanted to take some different ones with you, you can just use this bag and put them in there as well and take them with you. So actually, I don't know if that bit of sewing's come undone, but anyway, I think it has, but it's fine. Yeah, so this is the case that it comes in, and on the back of the case you have a zipped portion, a really good quality zip with a thin pocket in there, and you also have the little swatch colours of the markers on here as well. Obviously you want to make these for yourself on the cardstock that you usually use, so you know exactly what they're going to turn out like, but this pocket would actually be brilliant for, so let me take some of these. When I have some stamps that I've just got that I know I want to colour a lot of, I often like stamp them onto a quarter of a sheet of cardstock. So say I was taking this away with me, like to my nan's house or something, I could keep all the things I want to colour in there ready, and then this is perfect for having out on the sofa, and all your pens aren't going to fall everywhere. So that pocket is really useful for having the things you want to colour in there. I mean, it depends what kind of colouring you do. If you're more of an artist and you do bigger pieces, that pocket might not be as useful, but for a card maker, keeping your bits and pieces you want to colour in there is brilliant. Then the front of the case, you have two of these buckles on there that are really easy to undo, and then you have some Velcro on there as well. And then this is just how I've been using it on my desk. You can see I've got my colour swatches hidden down in here, but you see that's perfect. You can have a bit of space between, so it's perfect for putting your colour swatches in there. But this is just how I've been using it. I've just had it off to the side just there on my desk, and I've been picking the colours out and using it like that. But you also have the 12 slots left in the back, so you actually have a bit of space in there, so you could put the things you want to colour in there as well. But the sides of this case actually Velcro open as well, so you can have it open like this depending how much room you have on your desk when you're colouring, or as I was saying, if I was going to my nan's house I would usually sit and colour on the sofa, so having this out on the sofa would be brilliant. And this centre section of this also comes out as well, so if you wanted less pens with you, you could just fill up the two sides of this and have this as a case, or if you wanted to take this with you into a different bag that you have, you can do that as well. I'm going to make sure I get that the right way around again. And then that easily just fits back in there. But actually, before I do that, you can actually put this back together, just saying what I just said, put that back together like so, and if you filled that side with your pens as well, you could then take a couple of A5 sketchbooks in there with you, just with your limited colour palette as well, or maybe even a sketchbook, a watercolour palette, a little bottle of water, some extra water brush pens, all sorts of stuff. You could actually just utilise this as a travel art supply bag rather than it just being your markers as well. So let me put this back in. Which way round was this? This way, I think. But yeah, you can have it, you can use it however you want. It's really versatile. That's why I was saying if you weren't interested in any more alcohol markers, but you thought the case would be useful, then you can get the cases separately. In the UK, they only seem to be on Amazon, but in the USA, they're on the USA Arteza website as well. So I've got quite a lot to say about all of this, but let's show you the colour swatches first. So, with my real brush pens in the other video, I kept them in the order that they came in, but with these, I did actually change the order, just because whenever I tend to swatch out my Arteza ones, or I've got my Copic swatches up here, I just tend to like to start swatching them with the reds, be like a rainbow, and I put them in that kind of a colour order. So, I mean, you put them in whatever colour order you want to, but they do have a numbering system on them. However, I'm not really sure how it works, and I like to go by colour names anyway. I'm not really, even with the Copics, I know they have a colour blending like system to them, but I do tend to just go by their actual names rather than the numbers and letters on them. I tend to just go for their names. So I just put them in the kind of order that I thought they sort of went in, just picking out the reds and things. Some of the order isn't perfect because obviously I was just doing it by eye. Like this neon pink maybe should have gone up here, and so then the pumpkin went next to the apricot. But when you have your swatches like this, it is really easy just to see, well, this kind of a colour might go better with this red rather than the red I've put it next to, and then this red would blend nicely with that, but then that might not go nicely, but this one would, you know, so you can easily just see which colours you want to work together as well. But I'm really impressed by the vibrancy of these. I mean, you do have to redo your colour swatches every so often because alcohol markers are going to fade over time. They're not going to last like a really long time with their high pigmented colours. But I mean, if we bring in the Copics, they do have a lot of different tones where they added more grey in to mute down the colours and stuff. But I mean, this is the most, I think just yellow is the most highlightery yellow I have in the Copics. But look at that neon yellow, look how vibrant that is compared to it. And I mean, you have a neon pink in there too. I don't actually have a neon pink in the Copics, but you see that is actually a different pink to any other pink that I already have, which is really nice. And here, I often find it difficult with my Copics to blend these ones together and get a good blend, but with these, that is a brilliant blend for the pinks. I love the pinks in this one. They are a gorgeous blend together, and I'm really impressed with that actually. And the reds too, I'm really impressed with the reds, because I often find with the Copics that I have, these colours can look a bit too similar together, and you know, I don't get quite a nicer blend as I want to. So I am really impressed with how these blend together and the gorgeous vibrancy of the inks. The purple is a little bit hit and miss, but I find with every single brand of alcohol markers that I have, the purples, you can never get a really nice good blend between them. I do not know why. There must be some thing about purple pigments or something. But with other brands that you have, let me get my these are my tonic ones. I really need to redo them because they're not really very good anymore, but I can never find anything to blend nicely in my tonics with this 441. But that one looks like it would go really nicely with it, so you can use these in conjunction with each other, and even that hot pink up there would go nicely into that purple, and it would give me an extra couple of colours to go with that pink as well. So looking across your different colours too is brilliant. Like, there's always something that you're missing. I think whatever brand of alcohol markers you have, there's always two that you think are really similar, and then there's like a big jump and you're not quite sure how to get a good blend between them. But I think mixing them in with all of your other pens that you've got, like this lilac would go really nicely with those two from the Dreaming Colour ones from Tonic. There's always, like, overlapping them is really nice, because I mean, you might even find a different colour selection that you hadn't thought of using before as well. But yeah, I think I'm definitely going to use these in conjunction with my other pens as well. But they are really great on their own. They have some really good blends, like those three turquoises are marvellous, these three greens, those two greens together are really great. They remind me of two of the greens that I used to use a lot in my pro markers as well. These four pinks are brilliant together. You've got a really lovely selection of yellows in here too. I was just using this neon yellow with the sapphire yellow and the yellow ochre, and they blended really nicely together. And I mean, these two are quite similar, the Bumblebee and the Tuscan Sun, but again, you use yellows quite a lot probably when you're doing floral things and stuff. So having two of a similar colour of that kind of middle tone's not too bad actually. And also, there is kind of, the 60 set hasn't got as many browns and greys as it probably could have, but I'm sure the 120 set has probably got those within it now. But this set I think is really great for, I mean for card makers. I mean, I'm a card maker, and I do prefer usually to colour in floral elements, butterflies, you know, doodly patterns, and I usually go for all the bright colours. And if I do any characters, I usually just want these kind of skin tones, and brown hair is usually what I go for. And if I do critters, it's often like penguins, which would be the browns and the blacks, or like little bears or rabbits or something, which you could use the browns for as well. So there are options for those of you who like to colour in critters, but it's maybe not a set that is more for people and critters. It's more for bright, vibrant things that you like to colour. So, but I'm sure the 120 set has probably got more of those colours within it as well. But I just really loved the bright vibrancy of it, because they're the kind of colours that I do tend to gravitate towards, whether it's for making a background or colouring an image, or even colouring die cuts. I colour die cuts a lot of the time as well. So I think I've been rabbiting on about the colours for long enough. So I also wanted to just show you some of those blends I was just talking about. So this was the 4 or maybe even 5 of the pinky tones, but look how beautiful that blend is. I do often struggle with pinks. There is one set of pinks in the Copics that's quite a a muted set of pinks which I find blend gorgeously, but anything in the brighter pinks, I always find there's a really difficult harsh gap between them, and I have to do the method of scribbling the darker colour onto my glass mat and picking it up with the lighter colour and trying to blend it. But this was just the markers, and this one and this here, that was just the markers, not doing any of the like tip to tip blending or anything. So you get a really smooth gradient of the pinks, of the reds, of the teal colours, and I was just testing out the Colorless Blender, because you get a Colorless Blender in here as well. It maybe doesn't lift the colour as much as some Colorless Blenders do, but it could just be that the turquoises maybe stain the card more. But yeah, you can get some really good blends within the colours that you get, and they also go through the card as well, which is brilliant because that means they are blending nicely. This is that 300 GSM white card from CRaFTi UK that I love using, and it's got a really smooth finish, and I just find it works well for everything. But I think some people usually see that it bleeds through the card as a bad thing, but it actually means that they're working really nicely, because you want them to bleed into the fibres of the card so you get a nice blend. So that is good that it bleeds through to the back of them. Then I also wanted to say, with this marker case, I've been working with them like this, and one brilliant thing is, I mean, they're all in there securely, so they're not going to fall around. They're going to stay in the order that you want to use them in, which is brilliant, because I like keeping them in the right order, because it just makes it so much quicker for finding the colour that you want. You haven't got them all on your desk like this, and you're kind of struggling to find which colour's which. But the way they've done the cap, I mean, on all of them you have the name on there, which is great, and the writing. I've heard some people say that the name is too small, but I didn't find a problem with the font size, but some of you might think it's a little bit small. But the way they've done this cap, it tilts at an angle, so if you have multiples of them in different colours all over your desk, from the angle I'm sitting at now, I can easily actually see what the colour is, which is brilliant, because some, like the tonic ones actually, I can never find which one's the right marker, because I'm searching around for ages, because one end doesn't have the colour on, so they've always got to be a certain way round for you to easily find which one's the right colour and everything, which is a little bit annoying. But another good thing about this case is you don't have to put them straight back in the slot when you're working with them. When I was working with them, I was actually just going like that, plonking them back in, so they're where they are, but they're not actually fixed in, which sort of saves a bit of time when you're working. But that was before I figured out how to get them back in the case really easily every single time. So you can see how I've laid them out, and this is how they come. This edge of the triangle, which I'm not sure if it's actually shorter or whether it's an optical illusion, but it's the edge where the writing is going parallel to it. So if I zoom in, maybe. So it's this edge here where the writing is parallel to it. If you put that towards the back of the case, and then when you have your pen out, you make sure that both of these caps are tilting like this, and the same point is along the top. I think that kind of makes sense, because when you put the lid back on, obviously there's 3 ways around because they're triangular. They're not lined up that way. They're sort of going off at different angles, but if you make sure that both of them are that way, it goes in straight away. You don't even have to look at the hole. I'm actually looking at the viewfinder now and just poking that down, and it goes straight in the loop perfectly, and it does it every time. When you have them both lined up that way and you put this side back to the marker case, which is how they came as well, it goes in perfectly and you don't even have to fiddle around with the loop at all. So this one, they're off wonky, and if I'm trying to do the same thing I just did, I am struggling trying to get that in because it's the wrong way around. But even though that loop is off to the side now, you put them both round the right way, go back, and okay, now it's not going to do it straight away. There you go. It did it straight away, almost. Putting it back in, so that really, really helps. Like any of these ones, if they're the same way round, you know, you can just do that and take them out and they go back in perfectly. So that's a great tip to realise. That was about maybe after the third or fourth image I'd coloured, I realised that if you had both the lids that way round, they went back in perfectly first time. Oh yeah, I also didn't tell you that they have a triangular barrel to them. So if you can see now, because I was just explaining that, but they have a triangular barrel, and obviously the ends of them tilt one way. So if you're making sure the shorter side is in line and you put them in that way, they go in perfectly. But yeah, so they're triangular, which okay, let me show you the two nibs first. So actually, on the side of, there's so many things I want to say, I'm going to forget them all. But on the side of the barrel, you can see this one has a triangle. You can see that this one has a triangle, which means it's the bullet nib, and this one has a more of a funny quadrilateral shape, which means it's the chisel tip, because that looks like a chisel. And the fine end also has the colour around it. Usually they're just like a grey ring around the edge of it, but this actually has the colour of the marker, which I really like as well. And then this is the bullet nib. It's a really nice bullet as well. It's a really sturdy bullet, so you can actually draw with it, which I'll show you as well. And you can write with it. It works really well for writing too. And you can get into the really fine details in a picture as well. I do find with some of the alcohol pens that I have, obviously not Copics because they have the brush nib on them, but with some of the ones I have, I'm not sure whether it's because I've used them a lot and they're a bit older now, but some of them, the tip on them is really starting to kind of get really soft, and you can't get into the detail within them. Like, it sort of splays out a little bit, and instead of getting a sort of 1 or 2 millimeter width line when you draw with it, you're getting a 3 or 4 millimeter width line, and you can't really get right into the detail. But these seem to be a really nice sturdy tip to them that is really good for getting into fine details. I mean, you can get such tiny little dots with them as well, or you can get really fine lines, or you can actually get a nice point on your colouring as well. So I do really like that about these. Obviously, I've only been playing with them for a couple of weeks, so you never know after time if the same thing's going to happen and they're going to get a little bit, like, I don't know, frayed or just softer, really. They just get a bit softer. But I don't know if that's going to happen with these. But for right now, they're brilliant. And I've actually been doing quite a bit of colouring with them, and they're all still fine. So, yeah, I reckon that's a plus for them. Then they also have the chisel nib on them, which is just like your standard chisel nib. It looks just like the ones that come with the pro markers or the tonic ones, or it's a tiny bit bigger than a Copic one, I think. But one of the great things about this pen is, because I don't have another one that is triangular, they're circular, oval, or yeah, circular and oval are the only ones. Oh, I did have square ones before, but because it is triangular, I know you only have a small tip on this end, so it's quite hard to quickly cover a large area with the colour if you're using the fine tip. But with the chisel tip, because it's triangular, you can hold this pen really sturdily, and you can actually get so much more control with the chisel, which is brilliant. Like, so you can really easily properly colour in an area and get precision and not going out the lines. I find a lot of the time with other pens, I try to colour in with a chisel and I often go out the line accidentally. I don't know whether it is just because the shape of the barrel and it kind of slips around in your hand maybe as you're drawing, but with this triangular barrel, you really can grip it nicely in your hand and get some really good control over that chisel nib as well. Or if you have trouble holding pens, actually, they're a nice chunky pen to hold. So even just when you're working with the normal nib as well, just having that chunky triangular barrel to hold is really going to help you stay in the lines when you're colouring as well, because you've got more control over it. What else was I going to say? I thought of something then and I've forgotten it. Oh, about the lids. So they are really easy to get off, but you have a proper click when they go back on, so you know that you've put them back on properly, which is brilliant. they go on perfectly, and obviously they go on any which way. So because they're triangular, they can go on 3 different ways, but if you are keeping them in this and you want to get them back in easily, just make sure both of those are the same way around, and then all you do is slide it straight back in. It goes in perfectly. So I think that's most of the stuff I was going to say about the pens and the case. And then I'm just going to show you some examples that I've done, I think, as well. Okay, I did actually forget. I was going to tell you some more things about the case as well. I was going to show you other things that fit in it as well. So if I expand this down again, and if I just show you the side that is empty, just here with all the empty loops in it. Oh dear, I've knocked my glue over. So this side is the side that comes empty, so you can add in extra pens you want to take with you. For example, a white gel pen. A lot of us crafters love using a white gel pen. What about your Nouveau Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss or the Midas Touch one? They fit absolutely perfectly within there. Or similarly, your Aqua Flows, that they are water-based, but maybe you're just buying the case, you want to keep your Aqua Flows in the case, you can do that too. Or even your Nouveau glitter markers. Maybe you like to add glitter into your alcohol coloured images, so you want to take some of your glitter markers with you. They fit perfectly too. Other alcohol marker brands, the Letraset Pro Marker, which is exactly the same as the Winsor & Newton Pro Marker, fits perfectly within there. The flex markers that Letraset used to make, the brush markers that Winsor & Newton do are the same size as a Pro Marker, but if you have some of the old flex markers, they fit perfectly in there as well, and these are all fitting next to each other as well, even though they're different widths. This is a Copic with the oval barrel, and that fits in there really nice and perfectly too, and perfect lengthwise as well. And then what about your Nouveau alcohol pens? They go in there perfectly too, and because they have that tapered end at the bottom, that's going to be even easier to get them into the loops of the case as well. So that is multiple things that fit in there really easily. What else might you want to take with you? What about your retractable craft pick from Tonic? You might want to have that with you just in case. That is a bit of a snug fit, but it does just about go in as well. It's because it's got that cush grip on it, it's sort of sticking to the elastic, but that does just about go in as well. What about a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen? That could be the clear one if you'd rather. That goes in nicely, and the height still fits as well. What about a Wink of Stella? Maybe you use the Wink of Stella rather than the Tonic one or the Spectrum Noir one. Ooh, that's a little bit snug because it's got a fatter tummy than the others, but that still goes in really well too. What about, I know these are alcohol based, but say you were filling your case with your Aqua Flows, which are water based, you might want a spritzer with you as well. That might just, yep, that goes in nicely too, so you can take a spritzer with you as well. I filled up all the spaces, but let's see if there's anything else that I've got lying around that you might want with you. I mean, a pencil, you might want to take a pencil with you. I know pencils are often smaller, but I mean, it will stay in there. It's not securely in there, but it will stay in there as well if you wanted to take a pencil with you. I mean, that is a lot of different things that I've tried. So, I mean, that just goes to show how versatile this case is. So, as what I was saying in the beginning, if you wanted just the cases, this case is about $27 on the USA Arteza website and about £30 on the UK Amazon, which is brilliant for something that can hold 72 pens. And if you think about it, if this set full of the pens is £67 minus £30 for the case, that's £37 for 60 pens. That is like ridiculous price. you know, really, really affordable. So, I mean, even if you were mostly wanting the case, you could buy the case with the pens and use the pens for the other techniques that I'm going to show you, and then put all of your Copics into the case to keep them all nice when you're travelling, or maybe you want to work with them on your desk, like I've been working with these on my desk still in this case. You know, there's loads of different things, loads of different combinations of what you buy and how you use things and everything, but I just wanted to try and show it all to you in case, you know, you're thinking about it. Maybe you've seen these before. I know a lot of people have been reviewing them on YouTube and everything, so you might have seen somebody else using them before and still been umming and ahhing over them whether you thought they were useful or not. So I just kind of wanted to give you lots of different ways that they can be used so that you kind of know. So I'm going to take all these bits out, and then I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have been colouring with them as well. Okay, so along with the real brush pens that I did in a previous video and these EverBlend markers, Arteza also sent me a couple of their mixed media pads, which have 60 sheets of paper in them, and they're 180 GSM, and they're, this one is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, which is a sort of A5 kind of a size. And if you like card making like I do, you can actually get 2 card fronts out of 1 sheet as well, and it comes in a pack of 2. The set on the set on the UK website is $16.49. I think I said that wrong in my other video, but $16.49 for 2 of them. But on the American website, it's $17.99, but you get 3 of them. So it's different value from the UK and the American. But I have found this paper really nice actually, and yeah, you get 2 in the set. So this one is still nice and fresh and new, and I've actually been working in the other one. So I was obviously trying out both the real brush pens and the EverBlend markers. So a couple of these in the beginning, this is just with the real brush pens, so you can see that in the other video, and the other, that was just real brush pens, but 3 of these are using both together, so I thought I'd show you them again as well. So this one was a really quick art journal page. I did the rainbow background with the real brush pens, and this was a quote that's on the Arteza website in their About Us section right at the bottom. It said, art is about the journey, we provide the tools, you steer the way. And I just really loved that quote, so I just had to include it on here, and it reminded me that it was the 16th of June that I was you know, reviewing or working with these products from Arteza, so I thought it was quite a nice thing to do. And you can see it's currently the 22nd or 23rd of June as I'm filming this video, so I did this one on the 16th, so you can see I've been playing with them for a couple of weeks beforehand. I wanted to have actually coloured things and properly experimented with them on, you know, different papers and things, just so I can pass that information on to you as well if you're interested in getting these pens. So for this one, I obviously did the rainbow with the real brush pens, but then I picked out rainbow colours from the alcohol pens and was drawing little hearts over the top of them. So this was something I mentioned in the real brush pen up close video, which I then forgot to show. So I said in that I was going to show you the colours together. So this, you get 60 in the alcohol pens, and the set I had of the real brush was 48. But some of the colour names actually overlap, so then you get perfect matches of your colours. I don't know if there's that many of them. I definitely noticed Bumblebee Yellow just because I like bumblebees. They practically are the same colour, but you can see having the 2 colours in the different mediums is really nice, because you can use the Bumblebee Yellow in the background and then come back in with the Bumblebee Yellow alcohol pen and draw over the top as well. I think, yeah, there was this one as well, Bubble Bath Pink was this on both of them. My camera doesn't really pick up pinks and purples that well. That is pinker than it looks on there. That was, well, they were the 2 that I definitely noticed. I'm not sure if there are many other ones. I just wanted to mention it. Oh yeah, Denim Blue. Denim Blue, Sapphire Blue, both overlap. Arctic Blue does. They're quite different, the Arctic Blues. Teal overlaps as well. I think Turtle Green does too, actually. Yes. No, it doesn't. I just liked that name and I remembered it for some reason. The greys, the different greys as well. I love the name of their greys actually. In the real brush pens they were elephant grey, dolphin grey, smoke grey, palmer grey, and then in these ones they're koala grey, cloudy grey and fog grey. I just love the names they've given to them as well. But anyway, I just wanted to show that quickly as well, that some of their colours do overlap between their different ranges of products, and I presume that's probably the same for their acrylics and gouache and watercolour paints as well. So yes, this was just one I was doing both things together, and the writing here and here was actually the black of the EverBlend markers as well, so it writes really nicely for in your art journaling, or I suppose if you like doing cartoony styles of drawing as well, you could use it to outline your drawings, or maybe an image hasn't stamped that well for a card that you're doing and it had a thicker outline, you could use the black pen to fill that in as well. So that was just using the real brush pens. This one, I actually, a similar idea, matching the colours to the other colours. So this one I started off the background using the real brush pens, and I explained that in the other video. And then I came back in with alcohol pens of similar colours and drew the hearts back over it because they'd blended out a bit with the water for the background. Then I also added in grey hearts using the grey tones as well, which I thought was nice to mix greys in with some really bright colours. And then one thing that I was really impressed by was how well these alcohol pens colour onto vellum. This red heart here, that is on vellum. Look how smooth it is. It actually looks like it's red vellum. I was so impressed by that, because I'm sure in the past I've tried to colour vellum with alcohol pens and it's been really streaky, or the vellum has really curled up because it's got like really saturated with the ink, and it obviously takes a little while for all of the alcohol to evaporate. But I didn't find that with these at all. They just, when I was colouring on the vellum, really smooth finish and really flat still as well, which I was just so impressed by. So the red is the pens on the vellum, so is the orange, so is the yellow, and this orange, and the grey tones as well. All of them was just colouring straight onto the vellum, and I was just really impressed by that. I really was. And I know a lot of us use a lot of vellum in our card making, and to be able to colour on it and it not buckle and it be a really smooth finish is really brilliant. So that's definitely a massive plus for these pens as well. Then I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was making something else, because I've been playing with these in between doing all the other stuff I've been doing for the last few weeks, and I suddenly thought I really like using alcohol pens with this little spritzer tool. It's supposed to be, it's the distress sprayer one. It's supposed to be for using with your distress markers, which are water-based. Actually, I didn't try it with the real brush pens. I'm pretty sure it would work with the real brush pens as well, because I've used it with Aquaflows in the past. But I was like, I wonder how well the EverBlend alcohol markers will work with this, because I've used this with my tonic ones. I did an art journal page a little while back using one of their kits, and I'd used it with their tonic pens then. I've used it with Copics before in another art journal video. And I've used it with my pro markers before, and they all work really well, but I'm always worried, what if I use up all the ink in them? You know, they're a reasonably priced markers and stuff, and especially with the Copics when a refill is like £6 or £7, but these work amazingly well. So this next page, I stamped the image first, and I started off and sprayed this. This was hardly any spray, it's got this solid a colour. When I've been using this with the other brands I just mentioned of alcohol markers, it's been nowhere near as pigmented as this once I've spritzed it once, or like 1 or 2 times. And these blue hearts here and this dark blue patterning, that was spraying it with one of these through a stencil as well, and it gave fabulous results too. So I'm going to show you that. I think at the end of the video I will show you that, because I just found that so interesting. And what I was saying, if you bought the set of pens in the case but you wanted the case for your Copics and you just wanted to play around with these markers, this kind of a technique is something that, I mean, it doesn't actually use that much ink anyway. It kind of worries you that you're spraying air at your pen and it's giving off a lot of colour, but it doesn't actually use as much ink as you think it does because it doesn't seep through the paper, so you're not using as much ink as if you were colouring directly onto the paper and it's sucking all the ink out of your pen. So you don't actually use that much ink with the spraying process, but when I've done it with my Copics in the past, I've just been like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't be using the most expensive pen that I have to do this thing with. So I think these ones are going to be marvellous for this kind of technique as well. And on this page I was also colouring with the alcohol pens. All the greenery on these flowers is the alcohol pens, and again it's bled through a little bit but not that much really, and this is the media paper, and it was taking the watercolour things really beautifully, and it seems to take the alcohol pens really beautifully too, so it is a really nice mixed media for using a couple of different things, and this piece is properly a mix of the two of them as well. And yes, so for this one I coloured all the greenery with the alcohol pens, but I used those real brush pens to do the flowers in it, so it was quite nice to have, to know that the greenery wasn't going to go anywhere and I was just moving the colour around in the flowers as well, which was a really nice touch too. So yeah, that is that. I've got a few other things I want to show you as well, and then I'll come back to this. Hopefully I won't forget. I'll leave it just there so I remember. But yeah, I just wanted to show a few of the pages that I'd done in this. I love having some kind of a notebook or sketchbook to play in, and actually these flowers I stamped with acrylic blocks onto this, but this one I actually, if you're careful and clever the way you think about placing this in, I stamped this with the Tim Holtz stamping platform. Even though that is enormous spine there, I placed it right off the edge of the stamping platform, so the edge of it was coming down here, and then I actually stamped it with the platform to be able to get a crisp image on this slightly textured side of this card as well, and I didn't have to rip the page out of the book. So you can rip the pages out of the book and use them to create your cards with, but you can still use your stamping platform and get a really good image on that as well if you want to. Yeah, so I thought I'd just mention that as well. Yeah, so that is what I've done in that actual little sort of art journal thing. Then I also, so a friend of my mum's wanted some penguin cards that didn't have sentiments on, so I thought, why not experiment with the new EverBlend markers to create the kind of backgrounds I like to create with alcohol pens, and make her some cards at the same time. So they're just really simple cards with penguins on. I did actually film this as well, so it'll be a video at some point as well, my usual sped up style, but I just wanted to show how you can use them just like any other alcohol pens that you have. This is a background that I love doing. I tend to do it a lot with the tonic pens actually, but you can use, this is the widest side of the chisel, this is the shortest side of the chisel, and this is the bullet nib as well, just creating a diagonal striped background. And this one is also colouring that die cut with some of the pink tones and that seamless blend that you're getting from the darker to the lighter colours within that as well. Then this one I did some orangey yellow tones just to show how well they blend really nicely because they soak into the card nicely, so they do give a really good blend between the colours too, which is really nice. Then showing the control of the chisel for this one. You know, I was saying about having a triangular barrel, I just found you could really control the chisel nib really nicely, so still getting pretty circular elements with the chisel nib is quite impressive actually, because I'm sure sometimes you're trying to get a circle and then the pen kind of slips in your hand or something and it goes off shape, and then you end up having to make it an even bigger circle than you wanted it to be and stuff. And then also blending again on a die cut that you've cut out, again that gorgeous smooth blend between, I mean this is a lime green to the teal, so that's a really good example of how well they blend. And then this was just taking this kind of a background one step further and doing a kind of plaid background as well. I just really wanted to try one, so that's why I threw that one in there as well. But look at the vibrancy of these two. They're just so beautiful, the colours of these pens, and because they're so affordable, creating your backgrounds like this, you're not going to be thinking that you're like wasting the pen. You want to use it to colour in your images. You know, you don't really want to use it to create your whole backgrounds. But when they're so affordable, you know, I think it's really great to have something that you can actually use for everything. So on these cards, I've used them to create the background, to colour in a die cut element, and to colour in the little penguins too. So you can see you get sort of a minimal amount of grey markers within that 60 set, but you can still colour penguins. I mean, especially this time of year when all the craft companies do Christmas in sort of June and July, penguins are probably going to pop up a bit. Then, you know, it's really nice to have the colours there to colour in the penguins. Also, there's quite a nice light bluey grey that I used on the tummy of the penguin. So if you have polar bears and stuff, that kind of colour is going to go really nicely for them. And also they seem to react well with Nouveau products too, like the Nouveau drops. You can see here the colour hasn't bled out, that you can actually see the line of the spot underneath that drop. It hasn't actually bled into the whole drop, which is nice. I do like it when things do that, and you can see that under the green as well. So that's also a good thing to know. So I wanted to show you them. Then I did a couple of really quick Father's Day cards for my dad. Just because I wanted to try out these pens, so I thought why not stamp something that's you know, really quick and easy to colour. So just showing the nice rainbow of colours that you get within the set as well, and then also this one I was trying to sort of show with the lighter greys and blending it out with the Colorless Blender, and I was trying to get a sort of colour of a mushroom there. You don't quite get a mushroom colour in the set, but it kind of worked. That was mixing one of the browns with the greys, so you can mix the two colours on top of each other as well. Then I coloured in a few more images. This was the first one I did actually. This was the first thing I coloured using these pens. This is a Neat and Tangled stamp. I'll try and remember to link it below as well. And I was just trying out the greens. There's so many greens in this set. I was just pairing them up and trying them out. So I could tell you what I did. These ones work really nicely together. So these brighter green ones, this was pale green and apple green. So here I was I wanted the texture still to be in these with the lines and the dots. That's why it's still visible. It's not like they didn't blend out. I was deliberately doing that. So that is that colourway with the spotty ones and those stripy ones. Then for this one I actually used the lime green and the green tea as well. So they look like they won't really go that well together, but they did give a really nice effect. And again, using that striping pattern, it gives the tree a kind of a texture, but also brings the colour in nicely and allows it to look like it's more blended. And then for these ones, you can see they blend really well together. This was a mixture of like cactus green, forest green and jungle green. That blend is beautiful between those ones. Really seamless blend between them. And you can get a really seamless blend with the pale green and the apple green as well. You probably could with the green tea and the lime if you tried hard enough. Yeah, so that was just my first impression of them. And again, you can see how well they blend through the card, which means they're blending nicely on your design as well. Then I just did these two this morning. So this one is one of the Gorgeous Girl stamps. I find these quite difficult to colour actually with alcohol pens because they have such fine detail on them, but with these pens they have that really firm bullet nib, like I was saying before. You really can get into the detail really easily. Like, look at the beak on the owl. There is no coming out of the lines on that beak. You can easily just get that tiny little bit of colour within them. And here on that feather that she's holding, that's where I blended that neon yellow in with the other colours, and it just gives it a really bright pop of colour. Her dress is using that blend of the pinks into the red, and I also added on some pattern, just drawing swirls over the top. Her hair is those 3 browns that we get. So you do only get 3 browns in the set. You get sienna brown, hazelnut brown and dark chocolate brown. But that is those 3 to create her hair colour, and I think they worked really nicely together. I usually always colour brown hair or ginger hair for some reason, but I feel like they gave a really nice brown tone. I mean, with my Copics, I probably go for more of a grey sort of mousy brown kind of a colour, but I think they give a really nice effect. Also, the skin tones, you get that pale peach and peach, and I also used the Bubble Bath pink as a little bit of blush on her cheeks. I think that gave a really nice skin tone, and you also get this apricot one as well. I probably should have put them near each other to go with the skin tones, but that gives you a slightly darker shade into your skin tones as well if you wanted it. Yeah, so I really like that. And also on her tights here, I coloured the whole of her tights in that darker blue colour that I used for the outside of the owl, but then I came back in with a lighter blue pen and it actually pulled the colour out of them, which I was impressed with as well, because some pens do that, and other pens it really doesn't work at all and the colour just disappears. But so that was quite interesting to try as well. And the little shadow down here, I was blending that out with the blender pen too. Then I thought I want to try something that looks a little bit more realistic with a lot of depth in it as well. So this is a stamp, it's an MFT background stamp. I think it's called Roses All Over. And it has really detailed roses in it. I've never tried to colour this before because I've been intimidated by the tiny little thin lines, and I'm like, I know I'm going to go out of the lines on this, but look how beautiful it looks when you actually go into it with the alcohol pens. I mean, it took me maybe 20 minutes to colour that one rose. I did go out of the lines a bit here because I was, you know, they're all going to be red eventually. So, or you could do the multiple colours actually. You could have rainbow roses going across to really test out the pens. But I don't often really try to get that kind of a depth on an image, but it was so easy to do with these pens because they have that really firm, fine nib that really helps you get into the little details. And this was the blend that I showed you on this piece of card at the beginning. This was the blend here, and that was, the lightest one is watermelon pink, then it goes to rose red, ruby red, and then burgundy is the darkest colour that I've used on that, and that gave a gorgeous rose colour. So if you already have these pens, those four colours are beautiful together. So that is everything that I've coloured with them, and I've gone through the colours that you get, and I've showed you about the case and everything. I think I've remembered everything I was going to say, but I haven't forgotten. I was going to show you how to spray them with this as well. So you find a piece of card. There we go. There's a piece of card. Actually, I want to try and do this with a few different colours and see how they blend, because I think that will be interesting. So, what colours shall we go with? Let's use our colour chart to help us. So maybe as we can't get a very good blend with the purples, we could add that violet in and see what else we can get it to blend with. Maybe that hot pink. I think it would go with that hot pink though, wouldn't it? Normally you'd get that good blend. Well, let's bring in the lilac. That's supposed to blend with it, and see what happens when we spray those two next to each other. See if we get a better blend between the two of them. So with the Distress spray, or Distress Spray I think it's called, I'll try and link this below. Not many places seem to have it anymore, but I'm sure other brands probably do make them. But you have this little screw piece here, and obviously that is made for the distress markers, which are narrow, but they've done it so this piece comes out, so then you've got a wider place to put your wider markers in. So let's go with the paler marker first, which is the lilac. And all you want to do is line it up. So I think it's about there, usually works, but we'll test it and see if we have to move it. And that triangular barrel fits in there really nicely as well. So I'm just going to take a bit of scrap paper and just, there we go, perfect. Just pumping it and getting that beautiful spray pattern out of it. So let's add some of this to the card. And you want to, obviously each time you're spraying it, you need to let go of it to fill it back up with air. But it gives a really even coverage. I mean, the further you go away, the more probably even you're going to get it. I always have to be careful because I leave my markers right there and then I'm like, why is that speckled with a colour? And it's because I sprayed on it. But so let's try and do like what I was doing in the real brush pens. I had a sort of circular element that dripped down. We can try and just build up a sort of circle of this lighter colour and try and add a bit of the darker colour into it to get a nice blend. And I'll also show you with a stencil as well, because I think that's a really good thing to show. So I think that's a decent amount of our light colour. And again, actually, if I show you this, we look at that, it doesn't look as if you've puffed out any of the colour out of the end of that pen. You can see how little it uses. If you'd puffed out a lot of it, it would have turned whiter or a lot lighter. And if I then colour with it, you can see it's still as juicy as anything, even after spraying it. So that is a really good thing to note as well. So then we're going to go in with that violet colour, which is the really dark tone. Line it up in the same kind of place. Check that's working. See, this one is a really juicy marker. You've got these splatters coming out of it, which actually gives a cool effect. I really like that look. So we're going to go further up maybe. See, it's very splattery, this one, but I think that's going to give a nice blend actually. So if we're just adding our darker colour more to the centre and trying to build it up, it is definitely a splattery marker, this one, but I think that's a cool effect. I do still think that looks quite cool because you've got the darker splatter going over the white. Kind of looks like you've used spray inks actually. And if we even bring back some more of that lighter colour into it, we're going to get a bit more of a blend as well, because the card's already wet from the lighter colour. Then we put the darker colour on, and then if we add a bit more of the lighter colour, we're going to help that blend out a little bit too. You know, I've just thought of something I want to try. What about if we sprayed with the blender pen through a stencil? I wonder if that would work. Let's give it a go and see. So I've got the same stencil that I just used, well, that I used in that art journal page. I want to make sure there's no purple on there. So now I'm going to put the blender pen in here. I didn't think to do this before, but I just thought of it, because one thing that happens when you spray with alcohol pens through your stencil, it gets mucky, because obviously the alcohol pen gets on it. But look, this is clean, and previously I had sprayed blue through it. The way to clean it off is literally just hand sanitizer. I think I've still got my bottle over here somewhere. Can't actually see it, that's glue. There it is. So this is just a little cheap hand sanitizer. Just squirt some of that on some kitchen roll, wipe it over your stencil, and it's clean. And again, if you've been scribbling with them onto your glass cutting mat, same thing, cleans them off as well. So let's try this straight on that dark area, and let's try it with the Colorless Blender and see what happens. I'm hoping it might lift the colour a little bit. I don't know, but I'm hoping it will do that. But I have never tried this before, so... Well, also another good thing is they don't have too much of an odour either, these pens. I find sometimes when I'm working with my Copics for a long time, like say I've been colouring all day or for at least a few hours solid, I do find that the smell really kind of makes your eyes sting, but I haven't noticed that at all with these. They don't seem to have that sort of harsh odour of an alcohol marker, which, I mean, they are alcohol markers, but they don't have that really harsh smell. Okay, I'm not sure it's really done much. Maybe when it's dry it will show up, but it was an idea in theory, it just didn't quite actually work. But anyway, it might appear later, we never know. I might add a few dark hearts up here as well, actually, using the dark purple, just to show you how this does actually work, because now I've told you and then I try it and then it doesn't work because I used a Colorless Blender. But anyway, okay, so I mean, you can kind of see it appearing actually, kind of. It doesn't really show up as much on the camera, but anyway. So let's try and get some hearts with this dark purple. Gotta get it on my hands, but anyway. So that looks like it's worked really well. Look at that, beautiful stenciling, but perfectly smooth because we're using alcohol inks, or like alcohol pens really. And then I'm going to put some more down here. Because I mean, there's not really another way of doing this actually, is there? I mean, you can draw through a stencil with your pen, but you're risking catching the nib of the pen on the stencil and maybe cutting into it or making it go fluffy. And maybe when you colour them in it might not be a smoother result, but with doing this way you do get that really smooth result, which is brilliant. So look at that, that is really nice, I love that. I just think this is such a great use for these pens as well. I know they do colour brilliantly, I'm not saying that they're rubbish for colouring or anything, they colour amazingly, but you know, they are a cheaper pen, so you don't have to feel like you're wasting them for doing cool techniques like this. So I think that is a really cool way of doing it. Yeah, so that Colorless Blender, not really worked, but it might appear later on. If it does, I'll put a photo at the end. But look how quick and easy that was to create that background, and it kind of looks like you've used spray inks, but you haven't had the mess of spray inks, because sometimes they can get everywhere, especially when you don't realise which way the nozzle's spraying. And you don't have to wait for it to dry because they're alcohol inks, so they pretty much dry instantly, which is brilliant. So I just thought that was a really cool thing to show you. And then I'll quickly show you how to clean this off as well, because I might as well, I've got to clean it anyway. So you just take some of the hand sanitizer, you can drop it onto the stencil or onto your kitchen roll, and then literally just put it on there. It's picking up the colour, it's spreading it around a lot, but it does pick up all of that colour off of there. I mean, it doesn't matter too much if it did stain it, it does come off, but if it did stain it, it would only come off on a project if you're then using something that's more alcohol based the next time you're working with it. So if you're using something water based after you've done this, it's not going to come off with that. So, and obviously you can go back on as many times to get it as clean as you want it to be. I just want to get the most of it off really. Majority off, and then I don't mind if it's a little bit purple. It would all come off if you kept going over with more hand sanitizer. So that is that cool technique as well. So let's bring these back in. So I hope you enjoyed that up close look at the EverBlend markers from Arteza. I don't think they've been out that long actually. From the videos that I've seen other people doing about them, I think they are a really new addition to the Arteza range of products, and the fact that they've already got a 120 pen set as well as this 60 pen set as well, I think is brilliant. And yeah, and as I said before, I'm sure that must have more of the earthy tones in it, and it probably fills in any gaps. There might be some more purples in that set maybe, or I mean, it's not really lacking anywhere else. I just find the purples are always a bit difficult to get to blend nicely with alcohol pens, so I'd be hoping for more purples and greys and browns and sort of neutral colours, but I do love the bright colours though. That is what I tend to gravitate towards anyway. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, I said that already, but I hope you enjoyed this look at the Arteza Everblend markers, and I'm now on their affiliate scheme. I know I said this at the beginning, but I thought I'd say it again. I'm now on their affiliate scheme, so the links below to the Arteza website will be affiliate links, so if you click on them and buy anything through them, it doesn't have to be what I've linked to, it can be anything off their website. I'll get a small commission at no extra cost to you because you bought through my link, and if you click on my links below, you can then use this discount code CRaFTi Potential 1, and it's CRaFTi with an I, and I'll make sure that I put it in the corner of the screen down here. and I will put it as the first thing in the description below the video. If you can't find the description, there should be a little arrow pointing downwards underneath the video. If you click on that, the whole thing will appear and it will tell you all the information in there. But yeah, if you use this code, you can get an extra 10% off, and the Arteza website seems to be mostly the cheapest place to get them from. Unless you just want the cases, then in the UK you're going to have to go to Amazon for them, so you won't be able to use the 10% off. But because they don't have the cases separately on the Arteza website. But this code will last until the 30th of July 2019, so you've got a good few weeks to think about if you want any of the things, and grabbing this 10% discount while you can as well. So, oh, I also wanted to say, is there anything from Arteza that you want me to do one of these videos on? There are a few things that I'm interested in trying after I've looked through their website, so I'm not sure if they're going to want me to look at anything else, but if they do, I'll see if I can get hold of the things you're interested in as well. So I just thought I'd say that as well. So make sure, if you're really interested in an up-close look at one of their other products, let me know below and I'll see what I can do as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!